G'day there guys, Connor here again, and we're back with some more stories from Reddit. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Anyway, hit like and subscribe and all that stuff, and let's get straight into it. Alrighty folks, we're on relationships. This one was written by user IntelligentAd3412, and it's titled, My boyfriend told me a white lie for almost 3 years, and I'm not sure if it's a red flag. I'll try to make this as short as possible, but it's going to be long as hell because there's so much lying going on. My boyfriend and I have been dating for almost 3 years, living together for 2. We have a pretty good relationship, obviously with ups and downs, but we make it work and are happy. A little background on me and my boyfriend for context. I come from a single-parent home. My father was absent. My mother was and is by no means perfect, but she did her best with what she had. We were poor. Life was never easy for us, but we had each other. Since I was pretty young, I've always wanted to pay her back someday. I've worked incredibly hard to be able to do so. I help her financially as much as I can, and regularly pay her bills and send her cash. I'm also her only living child now, as my brother passed away 5 years ago, which basically left me to help her. I don't care, I love my mother, and the right thing to do is to help her when she needs it, but it is stressful. This is relevant because my boyfriend described coming from a somewhat similar past, and it's something we have bonded over. Having the mutual experiences seemed to bring us closer. He told me he also helped his parents financially, and we would often vent to each other about the stress it brings. I'm not one to confide in many people, so having someone who I felt like actually understood me was meaningful to me. So here is where the lies come in, and I need someone to either tell me I'm not crazy and this is messed up, or that I am crazy and this isn't a huge deal. I'm fine with either. When we met, my boyfriend lived in a condo in a pretty swanky part of the city. I live in the US Northeast. He told me he owned that apartment and condo. I found this to be interesting and odd because he was 28 at the time, and I know this property is upwards of $650,000 on the low end, and he was in an entry-level job for only like 2 years, so the numbers really just didn't add up. Whatever, maybe he's good at saving? But then, since living together, I never once saw a piece of mail for a mortgage payment, electric bills, taxes, nothing. Not for 2 whole years. Very odd. Also, when we started living together, he didn't have his room rented out in the former apartment yet, so he was still responsible for that portion of the rent. He would send a Venmo payment to his mother on the first of every month for his portion. I don't own property, but I can't think of a scenario where I would Venmo my mother to pay the mortgage on a property I supposedly own. Getting more odd. He would then go to his parents' house for an afternoon and come back really upset. Usually when I would ask why, it was because they were having financial problems and he needed to help them out. I totally understood this and supported him. He has literally cried on my shoulder about this many times. He tried to start a company years back and ended up getting into debt somehow. He told me this debt was $17,000 and that he paid it off. I'm confused because I met him only 2 to 3 years after the supposed debt accrued or the company dissolved, and it was already paid off. He told me when he moved back home after the business failed, he was $17,000 in debt and living at his parents' house working at a minimum wage job. How someone with a minimum wage job pays off that much debt in 3 years, I'll never know. We got into a fight a few weeks ago and I finally had enough and confronted him about these things. Long story short, he doesn't help his parents, they actually pay his phone bill, and this was all a lie. He doesn't own that apartment, he didn't pay off that debt from his company. He initially told me his parents helped pay it off and then like 3 minutes later came clean and said that his business partner paid it off, so I have literally no idea what the truth is there. And if anything, in my eyes, his parents are the ones who are financially supporting him. So now I'm dating a 31-year-old man who doesn't pay his own phone bill, was lying to me, and or completely fabricating aspects of his life for 3 years. And then when confronted about it, continued to make up lies, and then came clean about them 5 minutes later. I'm obviously concerned that he could lie for this long, about fundamentally important things like our values and so on. I sincerely thought I would marry this man. He seemed to understand me like no one else, and to be a truly caring and genuine person. Now I'm having a hard time rationalizing actually planning a life around someone who would not only lie about their background and family, etc., but also financial aspects. Aside from that, I now can't tell what is the truth and what is a lie. I've also noticed other things he's lied about and called him out on it, and he has denied it outright to my face. I see this as a form of gaslighting, as I know I'm not wrong, but he's trying to convince me otherwise. Am I overreacting? Is this a white lie that went haywire, or is this actually a series of complete and utter bullcrap used to manipulate me? And also, is it insane for me to actually consider a life with this man? Any advice is appreciated. Geez, yeah, I know a couple people like this, and one thing about them all is that they often don't change. And the fact that his lies have contributed to his very image in OP's eyes doesn't bode well. Let's go to the comments. If he's still lying, there's no recovery from this. If he's owning his faults, being sincerely apologetic and willing to go to therapy, I think it's possible to continue this relationship. Living together, you'll need total transparency in your finances. I can somehow understand why he lied in the start, but I cannot understand why he would continue to lie when the cat's out of the box. Opie replies, "This is what really messed with me. Apparently as it stands, he's told me everything. Obviously not sure if I can believe that, but whatever. But what really bothered me is that he went from saying the debt I had was paid by my parents, and then he walked out of the room and came back quite literally 30 seconds later and said, 'That was a lie. My business partner actually took responsibility and paid it.' As this was unfolding, he lied to my face several more times. I just pressed and told him I could tell he was still lying, and he would go, 'Yeah, you're right, I am. I don't know why,' with a pouty face as if I was supposed to console him. I was baffled. This isn't a white lie. This is a huge web of lies on which he's built the foundations of your relationship. I would forever be wondering what else he's lied about. Get out." She replies, "This is the issue for me. It honestly wouldn't be as big of a deal if it wasn't like a huge part of our relationship. The bonding and confiding in one another, I mean. I come from a harsh background, and I had a difficult life growing up, and it was very special to me to have someone who I thought could at least mildly understand. I've also told him so many painful and personal things while he was lying to me non-stop, apparently. So who does own the condo? I could get if he maybe at the start was like, 'Yeah, me too,' because he felt awkward, you help your mum so much and he gets so much help from his, and he didn't want to seem spoiled. Not a good enough reason to lie, but I would understand it. But he went as far as to constantly lie, pretend to be upset when he came back from visits, kept adding to the lie. He seems very manipulative. For all you know, he was telling his parents you were in dire financial need." Opie replies, "His parents own it. I get the trying to relate part, but he has painted this picture of this really underprivileged life, and it's just not true. I started to question obviously when I realized his parents own a nice house in a nice part of a major city. They also clearly own this condo. I grew up poor, and literally nobody I'm related to owns 2 properties, both in expensive parts of a city. I'm not saying it's impossible, but he fabricated this big struggle that I think was max like 2 years long when his parents first moved here. Also worth noting that yes, he has told his parents things about me that I specifically asked him not to, personal things about family issues, and then lied about it to me. Admittedly not my proudest moment, but the lying got to me. I went through his phone and saw him texting his mum about it." And Opie expands on the financial aspect. "The financial aspect is also troubling. I was pretty focused on just the principle of him making crap up. Also probably worth mentioning, he has told me funny stories about his past where he is the main character, but then will later tell the exact same story but from the viewpoint of it happening to someone else. When I bring this up, he denies ever doing that. But it's also deeply troubling to think that he has told me he owned a house, paid off debts, and has enough left over to send to his parents. None of this is true. Also worth mentioning, he gets commission from his job on top of the same salary I make. I save $1,500 a month, with having all my bills paid and sending money to my mum. I don't make a ton and live in an expensive city, but my point is, I'm frugal and serious about money and saving for my future. I guarantee he doesn't save that much, because he only has $15,000 in savings. So once again, the numbers don't add up, and here I am wondering where this money goes. I'm rambling, but I'm at a loss here, so I'm just trying to get all my thoughts out. Thank you for taking the time to respond. I have this vision of myself at like 35 with a couple of kids and finding out some other really serious lie, and it terrifies me. I'm also really scared because, to be honest, I find it hard to open up to new people over the fear of them judging me for my past. It's a mess, lol. Alrighty, now for an update, 3 months later. My previous post got more attention than expected, so I figured I'd update. Well, it's over. As many of you suggested, I couldn't possibly build my life around someone who lied so pathologically. I initially agreed to work on the relationship, provided that my ex get therapy to work through why he felt compelled to lie about so many aspects of his quote-unquote life. I also requested that he come clean to his parents, my parents, and anyone else he lied to or embellished the truth to. He agreed to this and seemed genuinely interested in working on things and himself. I really wanted it to work out and was willing to accept that maybe he was just wildly insecure or had some attachment issues or something that caused him to act this way. I waited 4 months for the therapy and confessions to happen, and they never did, not surprisingly. For those of you who were confused about how I didn't know he did not own this apartment for so long, or thought that I'd never met his parents, I had met them many times, but to be honest, they're pretty cold people who I never really connected with that much, and was definitely not comfortable enough to be like, hey, is your son a pathological liar, or is all of this true? On top of that, he also told a lot of these lies to his parents as well, so they wouldn't have been keen to what I was talking about anyway. It got to the point where basically anything that came out of his mouth seemed like a lie, or at least a half-truth to me. Also, I lost respect for someone who could lie so easily and then not even feel guilty enough or any remorse to come clean about it. I'm pretty honest, almost to a fault, so the cognitive dissonance there that occurred from being with someone who had basically opposite values from me was tough. I'm sure there were a lot of other things he was hiding, but I don't even care. I've been single and living alone for a week, and to be frank, I'm killing it. I'm now responsible for 100% of my rent, and I barely have any savings left, but I still feel like a giant weight has been lifted off my shoulders. Crazy how that works. I want to thank all of the people who gave me the hard truth straight up and encouraged me to leave. Even though it was all coming from internet strangers, it still helps to hear people tell you that you deserve more than what you're getting. I'm so happy, and I must be giving off a much better vibe because I've already had 2 dates and been asked for my number a handful of times. I'm a server at a restaurant, lol. I sound like a cocky a-hole, but God, does it feel good to remember you're not as worthless as someone made you feel. Thanks, Reddit, and if any of you are in a relationship with someone who is like this, get the hell out and don't look back. And some final comments. I'm thinking the parents are cold because he's probably maintaining a lie on their side too. Like maybe if they complained about him, he'd say it's her fault. I mean, could also just be classism. Nepo baby son living in their spare condo starts dating someone from a working class single parent household. Regardless, glad Opie got out of that crap fight of a situation. What white lie is? Oh yes, it's lovely you came. Here, enjoy some cookies. To a friend while being way too tired. What white lie is not? Completely fabricating your financial situation. Yeah, probably need to brush up on some terms there, OP, but like that comment said, I'm glad she got out of there. What about you guys? Let me know down below. Otherwise, leaving that story there and moving on to the next. Okay, moving over to the parenting subreddit. This one was written by user Upstairs Prompt, and it's titled, I don't think I can handle being a parent to a Down syndrome son. We knew that we were going to have a kid with Down syndrome since the 18th week or so. We had grieved and cried and came to the conclusion that we think we can do it. We read all the good parts about it and hyped it up. I never had the desire to have children, but I knew in my relationship that my partner wanted to, and so I went along with it. I figured I would end up liking it at some point. I was even excited before the baby came out and looking forward to things, but now that the baby is here, it is changed. It's been a few days and I've been crying when I'm alone. I could handle it if I knew the future was bright and we would have a semi-normal parenthood, but not with a child with Down syndrome. It isn't all sunshines and rainbows. I know it can be rewarding, but I want a life as well. I can't shake the thought that I have to probably change diapers for a decade, still be feeding and making sure he doesn't hurt himself for the rest of his life. To be blunt, I really don't want to do this. I know my life is going to change, but I don't want it to change as much as it probably will. I can't do this for the rest of my life. I'm mainly venting, and I'm sorry if this is offensive or anything. I wanted to have a normal baby, and I stayed for my marriage, and now I'm not sure what to do really. I love my partner, but I also care about my life. Sheesh, tricky. Okay, straight to the comments. Having a new baby at home is a stressful and emotional time. I hope you'll speak to your doctor about what you're feeling. Maybe they can direct you to a support group that can help you learn about what to expect and to give you hope. Maybe they can prescribe you something to help with your sorrow and confusion. I have good friends with a teenage daughter who has Down syndrome. She is an absolute joy and the light of their life. She wasn't who they were expecting, but they wouldn't change a single thing. She is one of the most loving and happy people I have ever met. Your life isn't over, it's just different now. Opie replies, that's exactly what we're telling ourselves before the baby came out. It's just going to be different, but it'll be our new normal. I'm an avid gamer and I have a lot of other things going on, but it's hard to think about myself when all I can think of is how much time and effort will go towards the baby. Thank you for the kind words. I highly recommend connecting with other families who have kids with chromosomal abnormalities, in particular Down syndrome. There are a lot of them out there, and they likely have very similar fears to you at first. That's one good thing here. Down syndrome is significantly more common than a lot of conditions, and the community exists and can help and educate you. You're never as alone as you think you are. She replies, this made me cry more. I replied to another comment saying that I didn't think the groups would help too much, but I didn't even think of the fact that there could be a parent just like me in my situation who has the same fears. I see success stories and it does genuinely make me cry and feel hopeful. I do know I love my child deep down because I want that for him so much. It would be amazing. A slightly harder parenthood for that is worth it. I guess my fears are what happens when it goes the opposite way. Thank you so much. You are experiencing two very difficult things at the same time. It is difficult to give birth and take care of a newborn. It is also very difficult to have a child with a disability. Both of these things can also be very isolating and lonely. I would advise you to not make any major decisions until you talk to a therapist or a psychologist. Let the dust settle. You have every right to feel sad and overwhelmed. It doesn't make you a bad mother or a bad person. She says, thank you for the kind words, it means a lot. You don't have to do it. You don't have to sacrifice your life and your dreams. Walking away is an option. I just wanted to make sure you hear that. Yeah, some people would judge you, but so what? Your happiness is more important. You only got one life. Opie replies, this is a different take, but thank you. I guess it is an option. It's not one I want, but I'm curious if there's anyone that has before. Oh, my friend, a few days out you'd probably be grieving the life you're giving up regardless of whether your kid had Down syndrome or not. Those first few weeks postpartum are a total mind freak, and all newborn babies are always going to be very demanding. Your feelings are more complicated obviously because there's an additional element which is making things extra difficult and making it hard to predict the future. But as a speech-language pathologist who has worked with many kids with Down syndrome, yeah, there's probably going to be extra challenges. But on the plus side, I see their lives and their parents' lives are often so enriched by the community they build around them with others like them. It takes a village, and that village is pretty awesome to be a part of. And she says, this is beautiful and makes me hopeful. It means a lot. Okay, straight to an update, over a year later. Hello everyone, I have an update to my previous post. Firstly, I wanted to thank everyone for the kind words. It has been more than a year now since my baby was born. I've had time to grieve, heal, love and cherish now. My baby makes me feel things that I've never felt before in my life. After the previous post, I started to think in a different light about my situation and truly take things one day at a time. I have since learned that no matter what happens, I'm grateful that things are honestly okay right now. My baby does not have major issues besides a congenital heart defect that affects everyday life. I wish I was told that nothing in the first couple of years actually changes. Babies with Down syndrome are still babies. They cry, they play, they eventually smile. They are goofy and make cute noises. They are just like any other child in the world. Our baby has had appointments every single week since birth. We have a G-tube, multiple types of therapies, every kind of specialty clinic you can think of, supplemental oxygen, we don't have to use anymore, and many more things. What has surprised me the most was that I am able to handle these things. I'm able to tape a tube on my baby's face and monitor him all night until I sleep. I'm able to provide the medications needed, have feeds made and pumped, arrive at appointments on time 4 days a week. New things are added left and right that we have to track and understand. We have tracked sleep schedule and poops and many more since birth, lol. It seems impossible, but we make it work. I don't think our family even knows the extent that we go through to provide the proper care to our baby. It's truly incredible, and it's second nature now. I want to reassure the people who may have seen the original post that I have not gone anywhere, and I will not go anywhere. My baby is my entire world. The excitement I feel whenever a milestone is met may almost be the best feeling in the world. I'm so proud and honoured to be a parent to a baby with Down syndrome. I am also the cause of the Down syndrome, as I am missing a chromosome. I understand that there are many more challenges and a heart surgery is right around the corner for us, but I know that I will be able to handle anything. Thank you again for all of the kind and encouraging words a year ago. It did truly help me. I was so scared, but my fear now is not how I'll be able to enjoy life, rather that I hope my baby can enjoy life as much as me. Take care, and I wish everyone a very happy Halloween. And that's the kind of update you want to hear. Alright, I think that's a good place to end up for now. That's it from me today. Thanks for making it to the end, and I'll see you all in the next video. Have a good day. Cheers.